As it is 7 p.m., we will officially call this meeting of the Burnt Island City Council to order. If everyone's had an opportunity to review the claims for payment as well as the minutes from last month's meeting, I'll entertain a motion.
Also move.
One second.
Motion and second to approve the minutes and the claims for payment. Any further discussion? None heard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Open forum, as there doesn't appear to be anyone here. Anything to be added to the agenda? We do have to approve election results. Was there something else you said too, Deb, or was that the only one? That was the only one, okay.
No, that's it.
All right, moving on to the quarterly law enforcement report
Good evening.
from Deputy Sweeter.
I'll just talk briefly about our contract hours report. Just going back to September. September was pretty strong, a pretty strong month for us. With cumulative average for 22 being at 67 hours per week. October was a little bit down for us here in the city of Rhode Island. Still have one person out at training. Luke is still with the dog. He will graduate with Canine Maverick this week, so we're excited to have him back and kind of get back to full strength and make up some of these hours that were short here in October. Our cumulative average for 2022 is still very, very strong. Any questions or comments about our hours for the contract report? Deb and I talked a little bit, and Deb, maybe you want to lead with
Yeah.
talk about the blight stuff.
Okay, so we've had this discussion many times on how do we handle commercial property blight issues. Some of the properties there's a few that are kind of bad right now. And how do we kind of distinguish that between what's normal business items that need to be on the property versus, I guess, junk, you would say. In your packets, I put, sections of a couple ordinances that would be relevant. One was from our city nuisance ordinance. That's the general one we would use for just most any nuisances. The number 13, accumulation in the open, discard, disuse of machinery. That whole one is kind of the one that encompasses a lot of the complaints that we get, that we act on. And then the other one is from our abandoned vehicle ordinance. And it does show an exception there on how to possibly deal with businesses. Where if it's a business that does have, deals with automobiles, repairs and such, that there's just a little different procedure you would go through, giving them more time to comply. Just wondering how the city wants to, if they want to do anything, do they want to act on any of it? Or how would you like to handle the commercial blight properties?
I thought we talked about this in the past, and we were unsure if they could be cited under our current ordinances, because they dealt primarily with residential.
The nuisance
So-
ordinance though can be used.
Is everything?
It's just depending on how, it's kind of hard to do that with businesses that have things coming and going like tires and that type of thing.
Well, we've been in the past, we've been pretty fortunate that we've mentioned it to our business owners and they did a good job of cleaning up, that's all. If we think there's a problem.
What I've done in the past is just send out like a general letter to all the businesses, and we're not singling anybody out on, just to comply, to, keep your property nice, just a general request. But there's still some properties that nothing's getting done on, and just don't know if that's something you want to just leave or what.
Well, it can't hurt to send a letter citing or giving them a copy of the nuisance ordinance. And then letting them know which aspects are in violation, and asking them to clean it up from there.
I can do that again.
Thought, what do you guys think?
Any suggestions?
I would agree with that. I think in the
Okay.
past, we've had some success with sending the letter and getting compliance that way. I think that we'll still have a couple issues likely, but it's probably a good place to start at least.
If there's a couple that are really kind of are struggling with cleaning up their properties, is that something one of the officers could go maybe talk to them?
Sure. Mhm.
If it comes down to that.
Yep.
Okay. I can do that.
Are we interested in having a separate ordinance that deals just with commercial properties?
Have you heard about any of that?
I'm
Any
not
other
aware.
towns?
I'm sure there is in larger cities,
I
but,
actually looked up in the city code for Olympia and they didn't have anything special
okay.
for commercial. But I could check around.
It wouldn't hurt to at least look into it and see what the verbiage is in those ordinances and. Right. Anything on your list, Tom?
Nope, I am out unless you guys had any questions or other topics you want to discuss.
Does the council have anything further for law enforcement? No, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item number 3, discussion on the purchase of asset management system from Silversmith Data.
So, yeah, I contacted, 3 or 4, I think it was 3 of the references there. This is a fairly new software program in our area. The 3 that I did talk to are satisfied, one's had it for a year. Again, it all comes down to, it's gonna be timely to input data that doesn't come from the engineer on a file. I know that Dawn is really interested in this program, she thinks it's really gonna be helpful, and I don't think she'll have a problem inputting the data, I think she'll be happy
So
to
is
do
it
that.
per project or just city data is put in on the front end and then once it's in there, it's in there and it can be utilized for any future
Exactly.
projects?
Yep.
Okay,
So the guys will have their tablet out in the field and they can click on, they flushed a hydrant and, you know, so you can keep track of that sort of thing. They should replace a street sign or they see a sign that's tipped over or isn't, you know, if there's something wrong, they could just jot it down in that tablet.
Well, even maintenance on vehicles, I think
Yeah,
it's,
too.
I think it's,
So yeah, they can inventory each building and if the vehicles are in a building, you can, yeah, oil changed and whatever. You just, it's getting all that data in initially and then going from there. But I think it'll be invaluable once all that data is in a software program like that. I think Dave, you were gonna try to contact Minnesota Rural Water, was it? Or-
I did talk to Jeff Dale, I had a number of other things on my mind, and this actually slipped my mind, and I'm sorry, but I did not do my homework on this one. So, well, we're gonna have to go with Deb's recommendation on it.
did they have a
I
demo?
don't think it's a good idea though. I mean,
I think to store this information, I think we talked about it last week, and Deb and I mentioned it, to have it on a computer file where it's trackable is gonna really be helpful, down the road. It's gonna store a lot of information.
I agree, I just think maintenance on streets and on mailboxes and trucks and backhoes and all that stuff, I think, I mean, the more that we can have it in one central location, I think it's gonna be best.
Well, I wanna, you know, I thought about that a little bit too, Jeff. It's one thing to have it on a program, but it's also, you know, that stuff has to get done when you have time for it as well. So just because you have a program on it and saying, hey, it's due, you still have to make time to do it.
I agree, but I'm just saying things get forgotten and all that stuff or whatever. Or you forgot that you changed a track on, you know, or a brush on a sweeper or something. I'm just saying all those things are.
Yes, I like the idea of having everything documented as well too.
The data is only as good as what's been put in though. So the data doesn't get put into it, it's not going to do us any good.
Absolutely correct, I agree, Julie.
I thought there was talk of they had like a demo tablet they could bring out, so you could play with it and walk around with it and see. I thought
I don't know
it said
about
there was
that. We
something
didn't-
that they,
We didn't have that conversation. I didn't
Oh.
anyway.
I thought there was some type of demo type thing.
Don could have, I wasn't here the first time he was here. But I never had that conversation.
Do you need a final decision made on something, or?
The sooner if we are going to get it, the sooner we get it, the sooner we can start getting the data in there, in the system.
Does the company have a timeline?
I don't think so. I mean, next year I would assume the prices are gonna go up. I mean, everything's going up. so.
You know, there must be a training aspect.
Oh, there's
to it
training,
where
sure.
they'll come out
Yep,
and,
yep, he comes out and trains, yep. That's part of the package that he proposed. What did Jeff Dale think?
Well, like I said, I was more talking to him about my water issues and stuff than computer software on that, so I didn't get a chance to visit him. In other conversations with other Minnesota rural water people, and like I said, last meeting, they're pushing this and they recognize the benefits for it and stuff, and you guys already know, you put garbage in, you're not gonna maintain, this isn't gonna be good, so it's gonna take a lot of time. When it comes to timeliness, for us to help with the input, these winter months are gonna be when we have the most time available. Come May, June, July, August, it's not gonna happen.
You have to start someplace though.
A lot of
If you
this
never
stuff-
start, you'll never get it done.
A lot of this stuff is gonna be on a file from the engineer. I mean, we paid a lot of money, I believe, for having the valves and the hydrants somehow recorded, if I remember right. And all the lines and all that stuff should be on their files. And as far as anything else, I mean, our staff can help with that. I mean, Don's already got a street sign inventory, I believe,
It's very incomplete.
so.
That's just,
but
that's
it's
it,
a-
that's just my
It's
point.
a start.
It's a
You
starting
put-
point,
you
though.
put- Right, you gotta take time and do it right.
Yep, starting point.
What's the cost again now?
I haven't looked at it for a while, let's see. Upfront is $5,700 and annual recurring is $1,600. And I talked about using the ARPA, some of the ARPA funds for it.
And that was basically the maintenance type stuff, that 1,600
Right.
annual was.
Yeah. Yeah, it's your customer service and any updates and that they have.
I think with the change of personnel and, all the stuff that we have and all that, I think it's a good idea to have something. And, I would make a motion to purchase it.
I'll second.
Motion and second to move forward with the purchase of the asset management system from Silversmith Data. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Did they give a timeline of when they would be able, once they got the go-ahead, that they would be
We
able to
didn't,
come
we
out
didn't
and-
talk about that. I'm guessing he's gonna be out here this year yet.
Well, that was my question.
Yeah,
if They,
I didn't, but we
it's
didn't
scheduled so
discuss.
far out.
As soon as
Well,
we,
to Dave's point, I mean, if you start over the winter, it's gonna be easier, a little more time to do it, so I think it's good time to get it done.
All right, very good. Moving on to backhoe purchase and possible loan.
so yeah, you got the information from Blake Hagan. I did speak with him personally. I really think the CD option is really fantastic. I would propose we do the 3-year, as he's got stated. So the bottom part. The bottom option is what I would recommend. You still earn the money on the CD and the CDs used as collateral. So I think it's a win-win
How far are they, Dave? 9 months on this new backhoe?
We haven't got the word yet. He led me to believe it was gonna be October of next year at the earliest, but, all depends upon when they tool up.
Well, we could come earlier than 60 years ago, we bought that one, and it was question whether we buy it at that time or not, and it's been a good thing. I mean, I think it's time. I think it's done a good job. I make a motion that we move forward with the recommended funding that Deb suggests.
Okay, I'll second that.
Motion and second on the table to approve the 3-year loan for the backhoe purchase. Any further discussion? None heard, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Water treatment plant, the quote for LP gas heater.
Last year, you guys were talking about the increased cost of the electric and stuff, and it pointed to the heater, and, we went out and sought, quotes, and, the current one that you see in front of you is from, Lee's Plumbing and Heating. There's a big cost in drilling through the cement block wall and getting that stuff mounted and hanged. He explained to me, outside dirt work, there is a tank out there already placed with anticipation of your approval, so we don't have to worry about the ground being froze. You know, if we would have waited till putting that tank can get picked up or whatever, but I led Sheehan's to believe that this is an avenue that I felt the council wanted to go with. The big thing that I want to stress here is too, is now we'll have an emergency heat out there, where I was totally dependent upon McLeod County, you know, to get there for us, and this way I can simply have a generator out there charging that one unit, and I'm gonna have heat out there to stop stuff or critical infrastructure from freezing up.
We still gotta have power no matter what. Even with a gas heater, it still have power.
Right, but I can run the heat with 1,000 watt
Yeah,
Honda,
absolutely.
yeah.
So she didn't want to bid on it, Dave?
What's that?
Or no?
He wanted to stay away from and suggested that we went outside, yeah, and he strongly suggested using Lee's Plumbing, and I have worked with him in the past, I have no problem with their crew at all.
So the purpose, we could use PFA water system replacement funds. So anytime something like this comes up and I request that, they want to know, like the question she's got, explanation of why it's needed, estimated cost. Useful life is the big thing, it has to be over 10 years, useful life. So the need for the heater is because what, twofold: one, to cut electricity costs, and two, to have an emergency heater. Those are the two.
That's correct, Deb.
Well, just generally, we gotta have heat out there.
We have a heat source now, right?
Yeah, but I think that there's a problem with one of the electrics, isn't there, Dave?
Yeah, there's 4 electric heaters out there now, correct.
And we're okay to move forward with just the one.
If Sheehan's isn't gonna give us one, I guess, and say, we've tried to get two, so.
Great. Comments?
Dave, did Lise tell you, is this gonna replace 2 electrics? We have 1 on the one side and 3 on the other side, is that the way it is?
There's 4 on, there's 2, excuse me, there's 2 on the big side, and there's 2 on the little side, chemical room. So I've been keeping, the chemical room I have to keep warmer, okay? And I've been letting the other one slide, yeah. So
Where's this one gonna go, Dave?
he's gonna mount it on the far east wall so it can blow through the door to the other room as well. And he's thinking a 75,000 BTU unit is gonna be more than what's in there now, so more than adequate.
Great, there's no further questions. Is there a motion to approve the purchase and installation?
I so moved.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to accept the quote from Lee's Plumbing and Heating for the LP gas heater for the water treatment plant. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Map the capital improvement plan courtesy of Bolton and Mink.
I had to start talking about this. The city, years ago, back in 2014, decided they wanted to identify their problems and address them. That's what a capital improvement plan starts to be. The map was last worked on in 2014. We've had a project, a water main looping project since then, and a road construction project in 2019 as well. So there has been some improvements off this map, and what we're talking that we should begin to have it updated. Take the stuff off there that we've done already, that's taken care of, and then develop a new plan to help identify our priorities. So it also helps us identify the current conditions of what things are if we move forward this. And then we can talk about, hey, what do we need to do, recommend repairs, and establish goals, prioritize where we want to be. David Palm with the Bolton and Mink will also update the cost of this, because, the cost have changed since 2014. So they'll take the new asphalt rates and per foot rates and incorporate those in a per block price. And that way, when you've got a cost, then you can figure out, okay, where does it fit in our budget? What can we do? How many years do we have to plan ahead? And figure out if we need short-term financing or long-term financing, or what the city's plan is gonna be with what's going on here. And at that same time, you can decide if there's other possible funding avenues available. And Deb certainly knows a lot about that. And that was one of the big indicators with Dave and my discussion with Deb's departure here. I hate to see all that knowledge go away without a plan in place that at least can be talked about with Tracy and moving the city forward. So I think it's a very timely deal that we do this. Deb?
Do we want to possibly get a bid from the Ben Osser's company on this before we?
As far as,
I would just be curious to see, does he live in Olivia?
Competitive engineer, yep.
Yeah.
We were able to work with Ben on the water park the other day, and we kind of threw the water problem over there on Birch Avenue and 10th Street at him see if he's interested. I don't know if that firm goes into this detail. I don't know, but I'm certainly open to working with another engineer if that's the course the city wants to take.
Because I just didn't think it would hurt to ask. I do.
of course,
And I know that Bolton Mink has all the, in their word processor, their programs that they have. So it's probably likely it's cheaper for them to do it. I do think that maybe if that's the case and they do finish it, I've thought about this for a while. I really think the city should go out, get requests for proposals for engineering firms and just see what's out there.
I don't think it's a bad idea either.
So, I don't know, I would like to, do you wanna talk to Ben, just to see?
I can have this discussion with the map and see if
Yeah.
he's interested in doing that.
Yeah, and then if they can't, then we'll say, recommend and Bolton, and they move forward with this. Then we've got our plan in place and then maybe go out for RFPs then.
that's not a bad idea, we'll just periodically do that.
It's interesting that it's timely, but this capital improvement plan, we used to update, bad streets and all that every year. We haven't done that in several years now. I know that's what this is about. I think we have to make an effort to do that more often, what's gotten bad over the winter and all those kind of things, so that we have a more interesting or more timely manner than every 5-6 years to do this.
Could we maybe,
Proactive about it.
have a vote to say, we could discuss it with, Van Os's firm, and if it's, just go with the cheaper bid? Did we do that?
Are we sure it will be comparable bid? I mean, like you said, Bolden already has all the data.
I think if we give, there's no pricing on this other than the old, on the map that we have, other than the old estimates, which is all gonna be updated. I don't think there's anything on this, if we say, we want you to update this with whatever improvements Dave thinks, we have to take off what's been done, and you can tell them that, right?
Right,
And
and
what
just,
needs to be done in the future,
Yeah.
so.
and Dusty and I, just so you know, Dusty and I went through this whole map last winter and identified our needs, and we've already got them prioritized and listed, which is gonna make their job much easier as well too. And bring it to you for agreement, discussion.
Well, and if we don't give somebody a chance, we'll never know the answer to your question.
Sure.
It doesn't have, I mean, if we wanna get a bid first and bring it back to the council, that's fine too. I don't know how much in a hurry you are to have it done. It's been a while.
I think before we make a final decision, I'd like to know that they're actually comparable quotes,
Yeah.
rather than just go with the lower one and not sure we'll get the same information from it.
You're gonna contact him?
I'll reach out to Ben, yep.
Okay.
Any other firms? Okay, we'll get her done.
All right. Public Works report.
They have a copy on your tables there.
Sorry, it wasn't included in the packet, I got tied up with, other things, and I forgot we had Friday off. So, sorry about that. Just a quick synopsis, we've got the blower, that was used for leaves, working very well. When Dusty and I and Chuck critique it, we can make it better. And, so with that, thinking that it's gonna be better and it's still doing 10 times what the sweeper does, taking the wear and tear off the sweeper, Dusty and I don't hesitate to recommend following through with it and getting this thing developed and purchasing this. So,
Can I have some questions on that? So I guess I was confused as to what its purpose is. So this new equipment is doing the same thing as a sweeper? So it's just another sweeper or what? I'm
yeah,
confused.
it's up 10 times faster.
Okay, so we're just gonna use this or we're gonna use both or how is this saving the city time and resources? We're using two different pieces of equipment to go over the street.
I got 3 questions there, I'll answer one at a time. Yes, we still use both. Both Dusty and I wanted to operate this new piece of equipment while the other one was following up with the regular street sweeper. Typically, when we're running the street sweeper today and what we've been criticized for, we'll go and hit a heavy area, a block and a half, we're full, and then we run and dump on the yard here, the shop, or into trucks that are spotted. This thing can go down 4 streets before it's full because it grinds it up, so it compacts it and it's blowing in there. So, what it can do leaves in 1 day what it takes us to do in 5 days with the regular sweeper, plus the wear and tear on the sweeper. There's hardly any moving parts on this old stock chopper to wear out. Or we've got the brooms, the rubber guides, and everything else on the street sweeper because it's designed for a finished job. And this street sweeper just gets the bulk out, and this new thing when it gets the bulk out, does it in a much faster fashion, as well as grinds it up and compacts it as well. It also then is processed, and we're able to dump this in the field right away as fertilizer. And that's huge too, instead of adding to our compost pile that we have a problem with. So it's doing a lot of things that we asked it to do. So the time savings is huge all by itself. And I think that's the big thing. The maintenance savings on the regular sweeper is also huge.
So this is a still a once and done thing. You can go down the street with this. You don't have to follow it up with the old smaller sweeper.
Well, that's a good question, Julie. We have been following it up just because it does, the street sweeper is designed to get a very good finished job. And this has been leaving a little bit of small dust and stuff in a trail behind it. So we're able to pick that up with the other sweeper. Now, if we fine tune this thing, get a little bit longer aprons on it, adjusted to hold the air a little bit more, and we had a curb sweeper, which I don't know if we need that or not. Will we have to follow it up? We don't know. I can't answer you that. We've got to fine tune this thing, but it's definitely sucking up the leaves. It doesn't involve, it's mulching them, and we're able to apply it, so.
So I know, Dave, you were initially looking at this, like taking all of the leaves off. Did you ever find that it was picking up like those sticks and walnuts and stuff, or do you still have to come back to pick up the sticks and walnuts and stuff with the sweeper?
Right away, when we first started, it scattered the walnuts.
Okay.
So then we put the aprons down a little bit lower.
Mhm.
With rubber aprons on it, and that seemed to take care of it, and then it would pick the walnuts up and throw them in there. Where the walnuts are real heavy in areas, there's too much for it, and you'd have to slow way down to process it, or it wouldn't pick them up.
Okay.
So you're talking about taking both pieces of equipment down every street when you sweep, or whenever you're doing sweeping. So it takes both of them. So to me, that takes more time. So,
Well,
But
No.
let's,
no, because the big one can take like 10 times as much leaves, where like the big one, they can run down the street and they can keep going, and then they could follow with the little one, and they could probably get 5 times as much done in the same amount of time, because the big one's picking up the vast majority.
the big
Where
one,
they
what's
have
the
to-
big one and what's the little one?
The big one is this new thing.
Oh, I see that smaller to me. Is it bigger?
well.
Are we using our
when-
tractor?
When you couple with the tractor, the unit, and the trailer, it gets to be a long
Okay,
affair.
so
Everybody watches.
is it our tractor?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the 6420
Mhm.
we've had a lot of issues with. Right?
We've had mechanical issues.
Yeah, we've
with
got a
it.
lot of issues with that. Okay. So what's the burden gonna be on the 6420?
That's easy work going down the road pulling for that. That's not a burden on that tractor at all. That's just like driving it down the street is all it's doing is running the PTO, so it's not having to go sideways in the ditch with a sickle mower or with the mower on it and having, the lift issues of that. It's not blowing snow, where it's a slip and slide deal with the blower, so it's probably the easiest thing it's ever done. We're not using the loader with it at all. The loader functions that we've had problems with electronic controls. Most of the problems that with the 6420 have been electronic. This is a straight mechanical operation.
Has anybody talked to McQueen, I mean, the people that do sweeping for a living? Have you chatted with other towns or, I'm just curious if this is the greatest thing. I think somebody else would have, just wondering, it just seems kind of different. If this is so great, then maybe McQueen should be, I would ask somebody who's done this forever and ever. That's what they're in the business to do. Have you run anything by McQueen?
Well, other cities have picked up the leaves off the boulevards, and they have $250,000 machines that do that. They're made specialized for bulk sweeping like that. Redwood Falls is one of them. Hutchinson is one of them.
They
Bigger
use
towns that can afford.
They use what? A different sweeper or,
They have, it's totally different, yeah.
but they, okay.
Yep, and what it does is it processes them too. I've actually seen Redwood Falls years ago. They've been doing it down there for 30 years, but certainly could inquire on that if you're interested in.
It just seems different that I know this has just come up now and sweepers have been the same forever and ever since I've been here anyway. I didn't know there was another kind.
In the cities that, they use big back trucks that gargle it up, they have big backhoes, it's an 8-inch or 9-inch holes. They go around and pick up as they go, and it's use up and mulch them up.
Right, and that's most of these catch basins cleaners as well too, is what they use it for. So again, this is a very time-consuming deal in our present operation, and people notice that it just takes us forever to do leaves, and they've been very critical about it. And Chuck noticed it and heard it and seen it, and just tried to develop something that would work better and handle most of the problems.
And the purchase price is,
Chuck's got $2,000 invested in this with, you know, his time. He says there's not much in there, but the material cost of creating the chute and bringing this stock chopper back to life. That's what he's got into it right now. He's not worried about getting paid right away for it. He knows that the city is on a budget process, so he's open to anything here. But he wants to take it back home out to the shop and tweak it a little bit, because he's followed us and watched what it can do and what we can correct easily with adjusting some stuff. And Dusty's got his own ideas. I have my own ideas, and between the three of us, I think we're gonna make this thing work better. It's very, very cheap compared to the expensive units that other cities may be using.
and then we'll have two pieces of equipment we have to maintain, so that's another. So you think what we will save with the sweeper, we can put towards, I mean, we've got two pieces of equipment that are sweeping streets, we're gonna have to maintain,
Well,
insure and maintain.
our leaf picking time, but because it does it 10 times faster, as I've already said, has already saved us in excess of $2,000 labor.
Yeah, it's actually saving life on street sweepers, so.
Maybe we don't need the street sweeper.
Well, what would we do?
You need
like,
it for summer.
Yeah, you need that for summer.
Oh, so this is just for leaf time.
Yeah, this
Yep,
would be
this
like a
is just-
fall, like leaf drop time.
And there's no action item required in this tonight.
I just have a lot of questions, it seems like all of a sudden there's a newfangled, how come nobody's ever, streets have been swept, but people have been doing that for years and years, and we've always had the same type of equipment, right? It's unusual.
Well, like Dave said, the machines are out there. Typically, it's not something the budget of small cities can afford, so therefore we don't see it in the smaller cities. We see it in the larger cities.
But if this new one can do the same job in, a quarter of the time, then it just leaves more time for them to be able to do.
It won't cost us an arm and leg.
Mhm.
All right, if you don't need any action on it, is there anything else on your?
I'll follow through and try to answer Deb's questions better with reaching out to other communities and going from there. So, the one thing we did have time to do this year, was we started cleaning out every catch basin in town. And, Deb kind of pushed that last year, and I'm going, well, that's never been done. It's simply because we're always in the sweeper, never having time to do it. And then this year we decided, hey, we're gonna do it because, we had 2 dry months and no rain. So when this rain came, we had a lot of plugged up catch basins. And we decided, well, we're just gonna inspect every one. And we started on Thursday, with our problem areas, and we got as far as 6th Street, and that was the whole day. And we've got 2 plugged lines we have to go back and get yet. But it was interesting because some of these catch basins, we assumed that worked forever, and all it was a foot of tree roots in the bottom of them that we had to chisel out, and had no idea because the water just went right down to the next catch basin. So, I was glad that we had an excellent fall weather-wise and stuff, which gave us time to do this stuff too. Was another part of it, not just totally, the leaf picking up, but it's good that we're doing that. We're going to continue to do that across town. If we don't get it done this year, we'll just keep on going, from there. And there again, the software that Deb is suggesting that we get would help us, do this as well too. So hey, we cleaned that basin out, it's plugged up, boom, now we don't have to look at it, we just go to the next one. Time saver. Okay. anybody's got any other questions on there, feel free to ask.
What's the starter cost for that new truck?
I haven't seen the bill yet. They did have problems getting parts there. It was in the shop for about 3 weeks. It was blocked in there by another truck they couldn't get parts for, but it was the starter and electric motor shop. The parts availability is hit and miss. Sure you ran that into with the county, and they had to wait for a while. But that was, when it wouldn't start for us up there. It wasn't jump, it was a starter. So we didn't have to put anything else into it. They got it DOT'd, so.
Wasn't my golden touch?
What's that?
You couldn't get the start on, you don't try to turn the key and start it right up.
Yeah,
I said it wasn't my golden touch.
yeah. No.
All right, questions? Any additional questions for Dave? All right, thank you, Dave. Beautification Committee Christmas decoration update.
Dawn wanted to show them off to you.
Oh, they have the,
Yeah.
did
It
we
cost
get,
more than what, well, yeah.
was it?
We
I
paid
don't
off
have
the
my
bill.
key on me, Deb.
Wasn't the bill in the claims, I think? Places.
I don't remember seeing it.
It would be 6,000 something.
I think, Juliana, it's kind of 8,600, yeah, 8,600,
Yep,
yeah. I think we had kind of calculated that out. I know we were talking right around like it was gonna be about 9,000. Yeah.
Whoever's board of what you call it.
Okay, so what I know about this is that they designed the deal and then asked us about how we're gonna attach it to the poles. This is a simple slip-in bracket, the silver bracket stay on the poles, so this is designed. This is a smaller version, same print of the larger one behind me, which will hold up. And from what I understand, these are going downtown on the green decorated poles. And the larger ones here will be going on the highway. And these are bare metal, and Dawn said that she was working with Hanson Silo, the powder coat people, to get these powder coated. And there's also a concern about lighting, and I know that she's talking with Wade about that as well.
And we thought, well, with the cost of what it was going to be, for at least this year, even it's something we add in future years to add the lighting. We don't have a cost estimate for the powder.
This will take a second look at them.
Or did they give a general?
And the powder coating,
Yeah.
she hasn't been able to get them to call her back as of today.
So we're not sure we'll even get them up for this Christmas, or?
That's the last I heard from her today. She's been leaving messages and nobody's getting back to her. If anybody else does that kind of work?
So are these just the two sizes or they've already got them all cut and ready to
Yeah,
go?
I don't know where they are. Well, Dave, do you know where they are? All of
What's
them? Where are all of them?
I got them on a pallet down in Fairgrounds building, with the exception of those two. And she shared her contact information with Hanson's guys. I know a couple people in Lake was trying to make contact, but hasn't happened yet, so.
So the plan was to go with those, and then just stay with the greenery that wraps around the pole. And I believe there's just rope lighting that would wrap with the greenery, which the cost was minimal. And then we were just looking at some large red bows to go, like maybe at the top of the greenery or somewhere on the pole. And I think, what did we say, they were roughly $20 a piece, something like
They
that?
were $20 for 2-pack.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
on Amazon.
So, yeah,
The red bows.
Yeah,
yeah, just to,
an 18-inch,
Was it
wasn't
18
it?
inch or-
18-inch bowl?
Hmm.
Yeah, but
so
we have to assemble them ourselves.
you have to fluff them. I'm sure they come all squished up in a package and you just have to fluff them. So we thought for the cost, it was pretty minimal cost and so.
Well, this will be nice, cause these will be here for a long time.
And these can stay up year round.
Yeah.
They're, I mean, they're not necessarily Christmas. That's why we thought if we added the lighting, you can make it Christmassy by adding the Christmas lights or the red and green lights or whatever we opt to do, so. And I suspect once lighting is approved and installed, it's a matter of just changing a bulb. You can have it whatever color you want for whatever time
Thought
of
we
year
were
you
doing
want.
like an LED that had the multiple color option. Just kind of,
Yeah, they had mentioned that. We just didn't know what the cost.
the cost of that one would be, yeah.
So. So that's what the committee came up with. I think when it comes time to put them up, we'd like to supervise. No offense.
Let's get them painted.
That pole's a little crooked. Could you move it just a little bit?
Yeah, maybe the pole's crooked.
All right. That was what we had for a committee meeting, so. Moving on, the library blinds.
Yeah, so I got a call from the library. Both the blinds being in there are quite old and not in good shape. So they had got the quote, the library folks, the one from Budget Blinds. And I got that and I thought, oh boy, that's a lot of blinds. So Jan Eiler came over here and
They currently have vertical blinds, so do they
Yeah,
not?
yeah, it just was, it seemed like very expensive to me. But yeah, so Countrywide got us a quote. And we have 5,000 in the budget for that, so I guess I would recommend going with Countrywide.
Get 2 different quotes.
Was budget blinds including installation and who's installed?
Both include installation, both bids.
Make the most we go with Countrywide and
Okay, I'll second.
the library.
There's a motion and a second to go with Countrywide Lumber for replacement blinds for the library. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Carried. That is considerably different.
Mhm.
Roughly 34.26 to 53.55. Big difference. Okay. Lease agreement with the Learning Fun House for 2023. Any changes to this or?
No changes,
Okay.
and I know they're struggling to make ends meet, so I didn't think it was wise to try to add more to their lease.
That being said, is there a motion to renew the lease agreement with the Learning Fun House?
Also,
I'll second.
Motion and second to renew the existing lease agreement with Learning Fun House. Any further discussion? None heard, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay. Motion carries.
Can I ask why, Jeff?
Because I don't think they're doing, I mean, we've been through this many, many years, and I just don't know that they're, let you know why their budget, they can't figure it out. I mean, it's been this way for a long time, but that's just me.
They actually were doing okay until COVID hit.
Well, but we never raised even that.
500 to 600
That's,
over a lot of years. I get you. Yeah, just wondering.
that's 20-some years.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, almost 20 years.
Don't disagree.
Does that
I think it's
include
an
that
asset,
addition?
don't get me wrong, I think it's an asset.
Yes.
It's frustrating that we can't figure out to get closer where it should be at, that's all.
Every, all the centers struggle with the same thing, you have to be able to pay people, you have to be able to get people to work, you have to pay them to work.
Yeah, well, that's.
Then you have to raise your rates to be able to afford to pay them. It's just, it's just,
Did
you
they
know.
purchase that new, the
Yeah.
addition? They purchased
Yeah.
that on their own,
Yes,
so that is not, so
When
this
they-
is just the original building that is in.
that was
place.
when all rooms were full and they needed more room at that time. That was pre-COVID. So, I know we know there's a big waiting list in the infant room. I don't know about the other ones, but yeah, so it's been tough. But, yeah.
All right. 2023 fire contract agreements with the townships.
No changes here. I didn't think we wanted to go up, so we're a little bit more than Olivia right now. I don't think we want to get into that battle.
Agreed. I do not want to get into that. Is there a motion to approve the fire contract with the townships or renew the existing contract for 2023?
I'll motion.
So moved.
I missed it. Motion and
Oh, okay.
a second. There's a motion and a second to renew the fire contract agreement with the city of Bird Island and the townships. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 13-22, designated the annual polling place.
This is a resolution we need to do annually, state requirement.
Is there a motion?
I will so move.
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve. No changes in the designated place. Any further discussion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And approve the election results. To do a recap of anything before we?
No, it's all in front of you, it just says what the votes are.
Okay.
And then everybody needs to sign what's here from the board, so you three that are here.
All right, if there's no questions, comments, or concerns, sorry if I silenced. We'll entertain a motion to approve the election results.
I'll motion. And we approve this.
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve the election results from November 8th of 2022. Any further discussion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. And you have an original we all need to sign?
Yeah.
Anything else this council wishes to discuss at this time?
Hey, Deb,
Yeah,
I just got another name for someone for, in Clear City for, powder coating also.
oh, okay, great, that'd be great, thank you.
All right, if not, this meeting is adjourned.